Alright, today's video we're going to get started on. I got the fuel filter issue figured out and I'll show you what that issue is here. So this is the brand new Napa filter and this is the original filter. So they're basically the same thing, same thread, same size, length, everything. But look at the hole openings in them. Well, closed up that one is compared to that one. Well, that fitting that this threads into is like a flare fitting in the carburetor, so you could put like a steel line on it. So this was actually hitting that part of the fitting in the carburetor before it was tightening up on the gasket. This one could go over that fitting. So I got another new fuel filter that has the large opening and it worked perfect. In fact, I got a whole box of these fuel filters. But this is what it says they cross over to replace. So that took care of the fuel filter issue. So the next thing I'm going to do in the project is I'm going to change the coil. This one, the tower's all got hundreds of little cracks in it. So I have another coil, I'm just going to change it. And then I'm going to check to see if we have spark, and if we do, I'll set the timing. Alright, I'm going to check voltage at the coil. Key is on in the running position. And I have 12.44 volts at the battery. So let's see what we have at the coil. Oops. 12.3536. So we got voltage to the coil. Now I want to check that cranking too. .6 cranking. So that's all good. I put 6 gallons of gas in the tank, by the way, so as I crank to do things, it will build fuel pressure. So we do have power here to the coil. So next is going to be check the spark and check timing. That's as close as I can get my camera, my tripod, but that's the one I got connected to the coil. So let's see if we have some spark. And we do. So now I can set the timing. To set the timing, and I can't get the camera down in there, I tried, but I'm going to use my regular timing light here. I have this plain Jane one I kind of like. I have these fancy ones with the knobs and stuff, but I just like my old, just basic timing light, old basic, and my remote start switch so I can crank the engine with the key on. So it has spark so I can look at the timing now. If it pumps fuel up to the carburetor, it may start. The choke isn't set, but that doesn't mean that it might not start. So I'm going to add a little bit more fluid to the transmission first. I checked the timing and forgot. It was like maybe 2 or 3 degrees off. So let's do it again. And I moved the distributor just a little. Moved it the wrong way. Spot on. Alright, let me tighten the distributor and then we'll be ready to start, see if we can get it fired up. So the timing is now set, and I just realized all I did was change the setting on the camera instead of starting and stopping. But the timing marks, if you can see them, are right down here. And I just I pull the trigger on my timing light first, and then I hit the starter. And it's spot on. Right on 10 degrees, so the timing is perfect. And so now I'm going to check for fuel leaks and check other fluids, and then we'll see if we can't get it going. Is everyone ready for a first start in 44 years? I got to put the garage door up. It's kind of cold out, so I got to put some of my dumpy sweaters and stuff on. But let's get this puppy started up here. Okay, I did check for fuel leaks. It does have fuel to the carburetor. Doesn't appear to have any fuel leaks. Let's see what happens. I think I'll put it neutral so the transmission pump works. Sounds like the choke is running a little. Sounds like it's running a little lean on the choke. Let me pull up that. Might need a carburetor adjustment, but I want to check the transmission fluid. That's 10 quarts in the transmission, which is its capacity. Radiator's still got the same on. Cold light is still on. Look underneath the lens. And I see no leaks. Still not reading out of the stick. Put 10 quarts in it, that's it for that. Got to find some more transmission fluid. It's still not reading on the stick. Alright, I got the transmission topped off. Now I'm just waiting for the thermostat to open. And the transmission works in all reverse and all forward gears. It's sitting there running in neutral now. Sounds really good. It smoothed out once the choke opened up a little bit, so I got to adjust the the choke. Gotta watch that fan blade, it's right in there. Alright, there is a little brake fluid leak at a fitting over there, and the thermostat is open. Doesn't look like it really needs to add much. Oh, looks pretty good. So I got a hydraulic brake line to tighten up, I guess, because I have power boost. I can put more pressure on it now. Choke's still open, or a little on. Wow. That's probably because it doesn't have the dash pot. I'll leave the idle up a little bit. As the cams, you know, keep oil for the cam. I've checked for carburetor adjustment, vacuum leak, stuff like that. I'll let it idle down and go and do that. That's just crazy nuts, though. sounds really good. Take you off the camera again, take you to the... That's where the brake fluid leaks. I think it's this line right here. And I'll take care of that here in a bit. It does sound good. Gotta open my door to let the exhaust out. Brake drums rubbing on things are a little noisy. Plus the inner fenders were rattling on the cowls on each side, but yeah, it runs good. Okay, that little roughness in the engine off idle is the points. It's ignition, it's not fuel. I took the cap off and cleaned the points a little bit, and it kind of cured it, but it comes back after it runs a few minutes. So we'll eliminate that points with the Pertronics when I start driving it, but yeah, it's not a fuel. No, and I adjusted the idle circuits, and the far one that was 1.5 is now 1 1/4. So they're both right at 1 1/4. That's where it runs the smoothest at idle. And I turned the idle way down. This thing really idles down nice. Look at that. Yeah, it's crazy, huh? And I even could turn it down slower than that. The slower you can set it to adjust those idle mixtures, the better. But we'll get some points in it, or some electronic ignition. The points are arcing in there, I think, causing it to, move the timing around. And I don't know if you can see underneath here or not, but appears to be no leaks anywhere. Checked everything. No exhaust leaks, nothing. Everything appears to be good. Power steering's not leaking. Just the only leak is that brake line, and I'm going to tighten that up here in a minute or two. Alright, I put this thing on the oscilloscope. That line should not be there. That should be a little more squiggly there. That should be a straight line to here. This pattern's upside down. The polarity on this scope shows it backwards, but yeah, when you stretch that line out, let me see if I can stretch it out. See how it has a little, every now and then you can see a little spike in there. So it's definitely ignition. Probably those ancient points from when I bought the car. But this is the first run in 44 years on the original points and condenser. So all in all, I think it looks pretty good. Like I say, we'll get a Pertronic system in it, and hopefully that'll take care of that issue. You can see it moving around too, so it shouldn't be moving around like that. It's probably weak point spring, and I think the points are the total issue here. There's the whole pattern on the screen right now. Yeah, it definitely has a ignition issue. These spark lines are just going down instead of up, like I say. This pattern, I should set the camera upside down or set this, so it doesn't really matter. You know, I mean, it's no big deal. But I think that is the issue, is the points. I just got the camera sitting on the fender wall, but this is where the brake fluid's leaking. Yeah, so I gotta fix that. Garbage products. The fuel gauge works. I put 6 gallons in it. It's a 25-gallon tank. It was reading right above the quarter mark, just a tick above. It's just a tick below now. I got the heat on. The car is really warm on the inside. But yeah, and the alternator charges too, so everything's all good. Alright, I'll fix that hydraulic leak and then maybe take it off the jack so I can back it out and clean up the garage, and I can start on the fenders. I got this leak fixed. I had a leak at the fuel pump where the fuel line attached to the pump. Got that fixed. Just needed to tighten that up, The sump was leaking a little bit around the gasket at the rear side for the transmission, so I tightened that up, and that seems to take care of that, because the trans wasn't in the car when I put the sump on. It was just standing up on end. I didn't really tighten them, I guess, all the way, but they're tight now, and everything looks good. I don't see any other brake fluid leaks or any other fluid leaks under the car. I'm going to go around one more time, just have a quick look, and then I'm going to take it off the jacks and back it out and clean up the garage a little bit if it doesn't start raining. It's supposed to rain and snow. Be nasty this afternoon, so I'm going to, like I say, if it starts turning crummy, I'm not going to back it out, but otherwise I'm going to, so I can clean it up. But I need to convert this to Pertronic. Those points are just, they're the original points from bought the car, and they're just, I think they're just trash. The engine runs good, other than, you know, that spark line isn't good, and the timing moves 10-15 degrees on the damper around, and I think that's all in the points, because if it wouldn't run if the cam was moving that much. So it's definitely a points issue. Well, there it is, sitting off the jack stands. I'm going to back it out so I can clean the garage, but yeah, I think those rear springs, I don't know. There is a lot of weight in the trunk, and there is no front clip on it, but front end definitely sits higher than the rear, so I may be putting the rear original springs back in and returning those ones. I'm not happy with the way it's sitting, but like I say, it could be because of the weight of the front end isn't on the car, and it could be because, you know, that's all, I got to move the car to get that settled in too. So I'm going to back it out. I can't video backing out, and I can't really see out, so it's going to be a difficult back out, so I'm going to go really slow, so I'm not going to be videoing. there, first time it's moved under its own power in 44 years. It actually looks okay sitting out here now. I think once the front end's on, it'll sit all right. Yeah, I think it's just the lack of the weight of the front fenders. So let me clean the garage out while the car's out. Alright, there's zero power assist on the power brakes, and when I apply the brakes, see how the engine roughens up? Let the brakes off and the engine, you can even hear it. So it definitely needs a power brake booster. And like I say, there is no power assist in the brakes whatsoever. I can't see where I'm going with that back window caked in paint, but it definitely moves. But like I say, when I push the brake pedal, the engine roughens up big time, and there's no power assist. None. So, yeah. But it takes off nice. I don't want to go too crazy without power brake assist. And look at that when the brakes are on. Look at how rough the engine runs. Can you feel it and hear it? And then as soon as I take my foot off the brake, smooth as glass. So we definitely need a power brake booster or a rebuild kit. Might just be easier to find a good used one and put it on. Again, I can't see with that painted rear. The hood's on the roof, so, and I don't have any help to lift it off, so there's no putting the top down. But it's cold out. I got the heat on in here. I'm nice and warm. Yeah, so we're gonna have to address the power brake booster big time. Runs nice. Alright, I'm gonna stuff it back in the garage for now. Now it's starting to get, it was just starting to get a little bit of power assist there. I gotta open the door and then I can see out a little better. I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna stop you for a minute. Alright, when I accelerate in, see how nice it goes? And then when I put the brakes on here, alright, I got power assist to right there. And now I've lost all the vacuum. And look at how rough the engine. You can even hear it. As soon as I, let me put it in park. As soon as I take my foot off the brake pedal, smooth as silk. So we definitely need to deal with that. Alright, let's just do an overview around the car while it's sitting out here. The engine's been probably got about 2 hours on it now. Yeah, I think that once the front clips on, the ratio of the way the car stance will be perfect. So I think we'll, I mean, that looks right. What I need to do is measure it, see what the curb height spec is and measure it, but I need to get the front clip on to do that, front bumper, all that stuff. And there's substantial amount of weight in the trunk too, which I forgot about, a lot of parts in the trunk. So I'm gonna say that that's probably okay. And I put the parking lights on. The license plate light isn't on because it's not grounded. But there we go. These brackets here are just loose, so they're just kind of hanging. Sounds good, doesn't it? You want a good exhaust sound? I'm gonna clean the car off too with the air hose while it's out before I put it back in. Well, there we go. After 44 years, the car finally moves under its own power. First start in 44 years. And it runs really good. It has a little bit of a roughness, just around 1500, and I think that's the points. As you saw, I put the oscilloscope on it, and it looked like the points were arcing. So I put another condenser in it. That didn't make any difference. So I'll put the Pertronic system in it before I start driving it on the road. And it could also be a vacuum leak from the power brake booster. Obviously the booster is giving me 0 assist, and so I mean, it's a little bit of assist, but almost non-existent. And when I drove it up the driveway, when you take your foot off the gas and boost the vacuum, it's a little better boost. So maybe I'll check out the check valve here, make sure that's all right. But you know, if any of my viewers, if you happen to have a correct booster for this car that you want to part with, go to my About page. There's a link to my email, and let me know. Send me some photos of it, and you know, make sure it's good. And also, yeah, I got a few people on that little dash pot for the carburetor. I need that too. So, you know, I mean, after 44 years and doing a mechanical restoration, you're bound to have some bugs. It's just the nature of the beast, and I'm really happy with it. It runs really well. It starts at the touch of the key. It you know, it runs up and down the driveway nicely. I'm not taking it out on the road without the front end and with the hood sitting on the top, but now I can get the hood off and I can start stripping the fenders and getting that stuff done. And then, you know, in the meantime, I'll hunt for a booster and that thing and get a Pertronic on it, you know, before I completely finish it. We'll get that all straightened up. But I don't really see any fluid leaks. Like I say, one corner of the transmission sump, there's a little bit of seepage, and I tightened up the bolts, and that seemed to take care of that. The leak on that master cylinder, which required tightening up, and and the fuel line where it attaches the pump required tightening up. So that was it. And I'll go around and recheck all heater and radiator hose clamps tomorrow, and just kind of, you know, check all the fluids next time I run it again. I'll check the oil before I start it again, and it's probably got about, I'm going to guess 2 hours of run time on it, and I'm going to probably change the oil in it before too long, get that first initial oil change out. That was just some cheap oil and a cheap oil filter. Actually, the oil filter I found in an estate sale. A guy they had 2 of those Fram PH8As in an estate sale, and I think I paid $1 for the 2. And I figured they'd be perfect for the break-in oil. And so yeah, it seems pretty nice, and the stance seems to be pretty good. I think, like I say, once the weight of the front clip and everything's back on it and the weight is out of the trunk, it actually sits pretty good. I can't, now that I moved it, you know, and settled the front suspension, it sits pretty good. The tires are small, so it sits a little too low because of the small tires, but we'll take care of that when we get it on the road. We'll put the correct size tires with white walls, the correct size white wall too. This car did not have the real wide white walls, so the alternator charges. Everything, the heater blows nice and hot. I had the heater on the whole time it was out, and blowing nice warm air. So, and the wiper motor I turned on, that works. It's quiet with the alternator going, you know, with the charging system working. There's no noise in the wiper motor. So yeah, so now it's just a matter of tackling the body and a couple of minor issues, you know, to do mechanically here. Alright, I'm going to call it a day so I can go in and edit up this video for all you guys and for my dad and everything. And my dad's having his chemo treatment this week, so it'll give him something nice to look at this evening, brighten up his day, hopefully. And if you like my channel, again, hit the like button. It definitely helps. If you want to see this car cruising down the road, now you've seen it moving under its own power. Now if you want to see it cruising down the road, subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching.